All right, up next, what we're going to talk about is the manual control options for the WindowMaster motors. The manual switch is a simple rocker switch. It has an up state, a down state, and that connects to the X blocks on the actual control panel. The switch itself will have 3 wiring terminals. It is recommended to use spade connectors. However, if you're using solid wiring like a traditional receptacle, you can wrap and crimp that way. There'll be 1 screw on the up side of the rocker switch, 1 screw on the down side, and 1 green screw for ground. Those will coincide with your X3, X4 options. The 1 and 2 are configurable, so if for some reason the up is backwards and you hit the down button and the motor goes out and vice versa, you can change that in a configuration later. The one that is important to make sure is 100% right is the number 3, as that is the ground screw. These terminals here are push in. If you tin and solder it, they will push right in. If you are just using the stranded wire, you will need to release the pin using a small hole underneath it. Once they're in the system and once they're configured, you'll be able to go into the control panel, hit configuration, and local input. This will show all of your programmed inputs. Once you hit the button, you'll see how that highlighted. Once that was highlighted, that showed you what signal the controller was seeing. The way the manual switch works is if you hold it for 1 second and release, it will stay in that state. You'll notice how right now I'm not actually touching the unit and the motors are continuing to open. If I tap it, the motors will stop. And if I just tap it just a little bit, they'll just kind of jog out little by little and they won't continue. But once you hold it and release, they continue to go out all the way until they hit their limit. That limit is inherently thermal, which means once it goes out, the motor senses that increased resistance, they will stop. If you want to have a different limit that is configured in the controller, and that's the same for all of the opening options, the manual, the thermostat, the wind rain sensor, the max throw is adjustable. This is important if you live in an area that has rules about that. It's not uncommon in certain cities, New York being one of them, where the maximum window opening is 4 inches. That would get built into the program and is not a factor of the actual opening and closing mechanism. To stop it, you would just hit the button, and if you release, now they're stopped in that state. And the same is in reverse. If you hit and hold down and let go, it will just continue to bring the motors in until they stop. When they're in a connected state, this piece right here would be what's connected to the window or vent. And that is how the manual switch works.